And thank you so much for joining me, ladies, as well today. Very much appreciate it. Hello, everyone. If you are watching this on replay, which is most of the people that I've spoken to, I have two absolute troopers who have been keeping me company the last couple of days. Well done to Jeanette for being 3 out of 3. Brenda, you were so close. I know you were so close. But welcome along. This is part 3 of the 3-part training. So much information has been given to you in session 1 and 2. If you haven't seen that, definitely go back and have a look. So today's focus is on the key to achieving your weight loss goals in a fraction of the time. Okay, I'm giving you a fresh start. I'm telling you how to build and create habits and make them last. But I'm also showing you the simple, basic way to lose weight. I want to make it easy. I want to make it last. But I also want to help shortcut that time just a little bit. You'll have to excuse me because for some reason I'm just so excited that I'm actually out of breath today. And I've literally been like walking really slowly on my treadmill. So I don't know why. I'm just too excited. So I really want to talk about the challenges that many of us face when we try to tackle everything at once, right? The struggle is real, right? Balancing life's demands while attempting to, let's say, overhaul our habits in one go. It often leads to frustration and super slow progress. So weight loss isn't always a walk in the park. I can make it simple. I can tell you how to build habits. I just realized I use my hands a lot when I'm talking, but you can't even see on camera. If you feel like I'm moving around a lot, it's because my hands, I'm like, it's almost like I'm Italian or something with all the gestures that I do. So really want to flip the script today. And in this training, I'll be sharing some effective weight loss hacks that can really significantly shortcut your progress without necessarily burning you out and without necessarily giving you too much to think about as well. As I mentioned yesterday, the importance of simplifying it and making it very, very easy for yourself is imperative. So these hacks aren't about extreme measures or unsustainable routines. And instead, they're strategic, practical tips aimed at making your weight loss journey more efficient and sustainable. So by incorporating these actionable strategies into your daily life, you'll witness a transformation that's not only faster, but also lasting. And it's about making smarter choices rather than pushing yourself to the limit. So imagine achieving your desired results without feeling deprived or exhausted by your workouts and by your work, by your routines. Imagine that, right? The insights and techniques I'll share with you today are really aimed at empowering you to make small, impactful changes that become long-lasting habits. And this isn't just about shedding the pounds, it's about embracing a much healthier lifestyle that enhances your overall well-being, right? My business, I intentionally called it Overhaul. It's not just a weight drop. It's not just a quick weight loss fix or program. What we do, or what I do at Overhaul, is I give you a whole health overhaul. You might be seeing weight loss as a byproduct of what we do, but everything that I show you and teach you is all designed to improve your health with every element involved. So if you're tired of the exhausting cycle of trendy diets and unsustainable routines, get ready to discover a smarter and more effective approach to weight loss. But before we get started, I'm going to give you my big announcement. So the last couple of weeks, I have been strategically planning out the best way to deliver the best coaching for the most affordable price. If you have wanted coaching before but struggled with investing, this is for you. Maybe you're someone who's too worried about the value that you'd get for your money. This is also for you. Perhaps you've been waiting for the perfect time to invest in coaching. Yes, this is also for you. On that note, there will never be a perfect time. Just want to add, there's never going to be a perfect time. Saying you'll wait until things have died down a little bit, That just shows to yourself that you're not committed to your health when things are busy. It just shows to yourself that you're not ready to put in the time and effort when things are a little bit crazy. And that just shows that you are ready to debunk your health on the priority list. Now I get it. Look, life is crazy. I've got 3 freaking jobs. 2 of them are in my own freaking business, right? I own 2 of my own businesses, and one of them is also a part-time job. I know that life is crazy, but it doesn't mean that my health gets kicked to the curb. In fact, it's not always at the top of my priority list, but I have already set out the foundations to look after it when things are crazy. There's never going to be a perfect time. Either way, if life is busy or not, if money was difficult or not, this is arguably the perfect time. So my big announcement, folks, and I know that Jeanette said that you were very looking forward to this yesterday, is that I'm putting together not 1, but 2 insane coaching packages, and it's going to be at an insane price. Now, the details still aren't finalized, but here's the gist, because I can't actually keep secrets. I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at. I'm going to offer 2 coaching packages, a top tier and a lower tier. Top tier, I want you to think 6 months coaching, 1-to-1, workshops, group coaching, additional protocols, assessments, the whole freaking shebang, everything. The lower tier, I'm thinking self-paced program, worksheets, workshops, and the group coaching. And I want you to think between 50 to 80% off. Ridiculous, I know. So either way, the details are going to be finalized this weekend, and I will announce the full details and price of this Black Friday offer on next week's training. So just quickly before we move into today's session, please note that between next week's call and the offer closing, you'll have limited time to grab the offer. So be sure to catch us live next week so that you can have the priority over the spaces, because of course they're going to be limited. Right. Thank you for listening to my Black Friday announcement. I'm super excited. We will work out the right details and prices together. Okay. If you're still with me, are you all ready to move into my top weight loss hacks? I want you to grab pen and paper as always, and let's get into it. Now, my first top tip, oils. Let's talk about them, okay? Oils are calorie dense. They are dense in calories. They have a lot of calories for the quantity of oil that you get. So oils are super calorie dense, and they provide around 120 calories per tablespoon. Now, we all know that I don't really talk about calories a huge amount, but that is literally like a tablespoon. We all know what a tablespoon is, right? It could probably fit in the palm of my hand, and that's 120 calories. 120 calories of blueberries is about 2 full cups. 2 full cups. So you can imagine that it's going to be so easy to consume 5 times as many calories with oil present in the diet than without. My biggest tip, I think, today is this: reduce or eliminate your oil intake. If you're already watching this and you're already whole food, plant-based, no oil, fantastic. You're already well on your way. Eliminating or reducing oils can significantly reduce the overall calorie intake of your meal, of your week, of your day, of your year. And I reckon you can at least take off a third of your calorie intake if you just eliminate oils. I want you to think of any like TV show, cooking show that you watch, and think of like, when they're like, and just a drop of oil, and they like keep going around the pan. You're like, is my TV glitching or what? And they're still doing it. Like Jamie Oliver does it all the time, and he's supposed to be super, super healthy. It is normal for us to cook with oil, and often we don't actually know how to swap that oil out or how to remove it. So because of this, because it's a bit worrying, because we don't know what else to do, we just keep it in. And oils are high in fats. In fact, they are pure fat. While some fats are absolutely healthy and needed, nuts, seeds, avocado, coconut, and whole olives are all great examples of healthy fats. Fats or oils are more calorie dense compared to other macronutrients like proteins and carbohydrates. So I think it's 9 calories per gram as a fat and 4 per gram as a protein. So again, there's so much more calories in it, and it's so easy to overconsume. So removing oils removes the overall fat intake, making it easier to consume less. Now, why am I so out of breath today? And breathe. Mindless consumption. Now, oils are often used a lot in cooking and meal preparation, and this really does lead to unintentional overconsumption of calories, and it kind of just ties in with my other point that I was making. So just cutting them out helps eating mindfully, because also you are changing the mouthfeel, the enjoyment, the texture of the plate. So I think when things are less triggering for the brain, and I'll explain what I mean in a second, when foods are less triggering for the brain, it is easier to stay present. And what I mean by triggering is, if you think of food manufacturers, they will always try and get this bliss point of enough fats, sugar, and salt. And they want to excite the different parts of the brain to make this eating experience the best possible thing. So they basically take food and turn it into a drug. Like this is my only way of explaining it, is they take food and turn it into a drug. So it makes it addictive. It makes you go back for more and more and more. And that's why we all feel quite addicted to processed foods, because they have those pleasure point, kind of like they pull on the pleasure points, right? So fats and dense fats do pull on that pleasure point. If you think way back in cavewoman times, we would need to find calorie dense foods because we don't know where we're going to find them next. We don't know when we're going to eat next. So for survival, that is where our pleasure point lies. So naturally, we're going to be pulled towards those calorie dense foods. But unfortunately, that's just not the thing with processed foods nowadays. So sorry, when I do a lot of talking, I get a really dry mouth, and I'm really out of breath, and I don't know why. Why am I so out of breath today? Improved nutrient intake. So eliminating certain oils, particularly those high in saturated or trans fats, can lead to a better heart health and reduce risk of certain diseases. So emphasizing the whole foods over the oil-laden processed foods can improve overall nutrient intake, supporting weight loss and general health. So i.e., oils are just the fats stripped from the food. If you think of like a protein powder, it takes the protein from the food, and so you're just left with the protein. Oil, it takes just the fat, so you're just left with the fat. There's no other nutrients in oil, right? And there is this big debate about whether they're good for you or not. If you are eating naturally high fatty foods that are whole food, so nuts, seeds, avocado, olives as a whole, it does come with the fiber and extra benefits, the nutrients, the water that the plant also holds. And that makes it easier to metabolize, push through, and store the fat properly instead of storing excess fat. Let me know if you're with me on this one. Right. So my second weight loss hack is high protein snacks. So, did you write that down? High protein snacks. So the good thing about having a high protein diet, and I'm going to tap into this very briefly because it's a whole different conversation and topic alone, but the importance of having a higher protein diet is that it's going to increase satiety between meals. So you're going to feel more satiated. You're going to feel fuller for longer. It's going to boost your metabolism. It's going to preserve your muscles. It's going to rebuild your muscles. It's going to help with blood sugar regulation. And it's going to help with just overall weight management because of all of the above. So making sure your snacks are not just carb heavy, but are protein heavy are actually a really good hack. So if you would usually have an apple as your snack, I would probably opt for an apple with an extra bit of protein, or swap it for a protein-rich snack. One thing that I'm sharing with my clients at the moment to do is, if you've got an air fryer, this works really well. If you've got an oven, it just takes a little bit more patience. But if you drain and wash beans, toss them in a seasoning of your choice, like any freaking seasoning. Any seasoning is just generally spices and herbs. And then put it in the air fryer, or spread them out and put it on a baking tray. And then bake it or air fry it. They come out nice and crispy, and they're higher in protein than they are in carbohydrates. Not higher in protein than they are in carbohydrates, but higher protein than a carbohydrate dense snack. So you either want to change your snacks to have a higher protein content, or change your snacks so they are more protein forward. So you're either adding to your snacks or just swapping them. And again, having protein rich snacks helps you feel fuller for longer. So if you imagine that you had breakfast and lunch. So say you had breakfast at 9 a.m. and lunch at 3 p.m., let's just say. If you had a high protein snack in the middle, you're going to be able to go for longer, because that protein will keep you more satiated for longer. Also, this is a really, really interesting fact, but the thermic effect of food, also known as TEF, if you've heard of it before, for protein, is higher compared to fats or carbohydrates. So this basically means that the body actually expends more energy digesting and metabolizing protein, which could lead to an increased calorie burning power. Either way, we know that protein is really important, really good for satiation, really good for muscle replenishing, and maintaining those blood sugar levels. High protein snacks, great hack for weight loss. Some people think about just having high protein, like a protein shake, or just adding more protein to their meal. Now, I want you to think of changing your snack so it's higher in protein. What are we on? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Number 3. If you drink alcohol, this is for you. If you don't drink alcohol, you're going to have to bear with me. Now, alcohol swaps can be really, really useful for weight loss. What I mean by one is either removing alcohol in general, because it is technically a macronutrient. You've heard of carbohydrates, you've heard of fats, you have heard of protein, but did you know that alcohol is technically a macro? I don't know why. I actually don't know why, because it doesn't fit into the others and it contains calories. I think that's why. So if you think like squash or cordial is a carbohydrate because it's sugar, water is neither a macronutrient, it's none of them, but alcohol does contain calories per mil. So because of that, it's technically classified as a macronutrient. Does not mean that you need them in large amounts. So if you drink alcohol, one is to cut alcohol out. Now, let's face it, if you do drink alcohol and you enjoy wine or beer, absolutely guilty. I'm not going to cut them out of my life. Fun fact about me, I was at a crossroads in my life where I needed something to do with my life. I didn't know whether to go into health coaching or become a WSET master. So WSET is Wine Spirits Educational Training. So basically, I went forward and got my level 2 qualification in wine. So I started off my wine career, and I was like, do I want wine or do I want health? And I took health, thankfully. So you can not take wine away from me. So I like to be realistic here. Yes, 1 or 2 glasses a week is absolutely fine. But it's when we get into a lot of alcohol, high calorie alcoholic beverages, that it gets a little bit tough and sticky. So think of calorie content. So different alcoholic beverages will contain varying amounts of calories. For instance, a standard serving of beer or a cocktail will have a much higher calorie content compared to a spirit like gin or vodka. So opting for the lower calorie option, of the alcohol, reduces the overall calorie intake of the drink. Excuse me. So champagne is actually one of the better wines to have. And as I mentioned, you would want to go for a straighter spirit like gin or vodka. Again, the sugar content as well. We've got to think of sugar content. So many alcoholic drinks, such as cocktails, sweetened mixers. So if you have like a vodka Coke, or as I said, in cocktails, they usually have a sweetener syrup within them. Trust me, I've worked in hospitality for 15 years. I know how cocktails are made. They usually have a sweetener agent in them. So they will contain higher levels of sugar. And sugar, of course, as we know, contributes to excess calories, unwanted calories that we don't need, and will inevitably hinder our weight loss. So choose beverages with lower sugar content. And I'm talking about soda water, just plain. So if you're in the States, I'm talking about just sparkling water, not Coke or lemonade. Now, right now, I know that some of you are going, okay, Bianca, but what about like Slimline Tonic? Or what about Diet Coke or Coke Zero? Now, I'm just going to sit on this one and say, I don't think personally, there is some science out there to show you that the diet versions of drinks don't inherently make them fattening. However, there is some science out there as well that shows that having sweetened beverage like this with sweeteners that don't literally contain calories, but they contain the sweetness, are actually more addictive because they have a higher perception of sweetness to the brain, which then reacts in the same way as a sugary beverage. So really not good for diabetes because it's going to increase your insulin resistance. So you're going to be very mindful with artificial sweeteners and flavorings like that because they are still not great for the body. They can still react in the same way. So opting for soda water, i.e. just sparkling water or champagne is probably going to be your best bet. You also have lower calorie beer as well available. So just being really mindful. Of course, we don't want to increase our chances of snacking when we have alcohol. I don't really know. Actually, I know one person who prefers not to eat when they've had a few beers, and that's my partner. I have no idea why or how, but when I drink alcohol, I get really snacky and I want more food. So again, reducing the alcohol is going to reduce the chances of snacking or need or want to snack. And don't forget, of course, alcohol is going to affect metabolism and fat storage differently. It's going to hinder it, of course. Think of the high sugar, carb content. It's all just going to play up with your metabolism. So either just a best idea to cut it out or reduce. Again, we're talking about simple ways to lose weight. So it's probably better to just reduce and swap for now. So that was number 3. I've got number 4 for you. Pen and paper, ready? Portion food out. Now I'm talking. If you buy a pack of crisps, portion that out. If you buy a family pack, when you get home from the supermarket, open it up and put it into separate bags. Whether that's cookies or crisps or chips or nuts, seeds, fruit that you might, no, that's probably silly. Any food that you feel like you don't have a huge amount of power over, any food that you feel like you kind of start eating mindlessly, cake, biscuits, whatever it is, I want you to portion it out as soon as you get home from the supermarket. What this is going to do is it's going to control your calorie consumption because it allows you to set your portion sizes and limit your calorie intake before you start eating mindlessly. Guarantee you, if you put food in a tub and went to sit down on your sofa and ate the food in the tub, you would be less likely to carry on because you'd have to get up, go to the kitchen, put some more in the tub and come back because that's just a ball ache. Then you would be less likely to do that than if you took the entire packet and just said to yourself, oh, well, that's okay, I'm going to stop after one portion size. It never happens. Don't lie to yourself. Make things more difficult for yourself. Remember what we said in the day one about habits? The harder you make the habit that you don't want, the easier success becomes. So portion out food. When you get home from the supermarket, get loads of Tupperware, loads of Ziploc bags, whatever it is that you need, and portion out the things that you struggle to portion out with when you have the whole pack. So for me, it would probably be Oreo cookies. For someone else, it might be popcorn. For someone else, it might be nuts. If you know that there's a food in your cupboard and you're going to get it anyway, make sure you portion that out. And I mean, open up the whole damn bag. I mean, if it's wine, throw the first cup away. How about that one? If it's a bottle of wine and you need to limit yourself, then throw the bottle away. Throw half the bottle away as soon as you open it and then pour the rest. Okay, if you really struggle, portion yourself out while you can. It's also going to stop you from overeating because, again, you're going to be extremely mindful that you've finished a portion size as opposed to reaching the bottom of the pack and you're like, whoa, where did that go? It's going to help you plan and get more variety of your nutrients in as well, because you know that where you're portioning yourself out, you know that if you fill up on your this food, then you're probably not going to eat your dinner, which limits your nutrient intake. So of course it's going to improve your energy because you're going to have more of those nutrients from a varied diet. How many of you have ever actually started a snack, and whether it's biscuits or nuts or a bag of crisps or something, and then you've eaten the whole thing and then you're not hungry for dinner or lunch, and then you don't eat that dinner or lunch, or you eat it later, and so you've now consumed more calories than you need. But also, if you have to then skip the meal that you planned, I guarantee you're probably having less nutrients as well. So again, the more nutrients we have on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, the more energy we're going to have. We're going to be less depleted of certain vitamins and minerals, which is energizing. And again, also, it obviously increases portion awareness as well. Right. You ready for my fifth one? Fifth tip, downtime from technology. I'm talking phone off, computer off, TV off, just meditation, journaling, reading, a walk in the park, time with family, friends, time with your pet, whatever it is, just downtime. Problem with technology is it interferes with our sleep. It interferes with our stress. It interferes with our circadian rhythm. It interferes with our relationships. It interferes with our relationships to ourselves and our bodies. It interferes with our mental health. And it interferes with our physical health. Can you say that there's something else in our lives that actually affect all of those just as much? It's difficult to find something else that actually affects all of those things. So the problem with technology is it increases our time that we are just sedentary, which is decreasing our active time. Think about it. If you were to not put the TV on, are you more likely to take a walk in the park in the afternoon? Like the amount of time that we spend on technology just sitting is insane. That is why I bought a a treadmill stepper. There you go, new thing. That's why I bought a treadmill for my desk. And I'm not on it at the moment because I was already out of bloody breath by the time I started this call. Holy crap, I had a moment there when I thought I wasn't recording. I bought this treadmill because I knew that I couldn't be sat at my desk all day. One, for my mental health, two, for my imagination, because when I'm walking, somehow all of my ideas come to me when I'm walking, and I try and go outside for a walk, and then I got all the ideas that I need to write down, so then I'm looking at my phone. But it just taking time away from technology is a huge thing. Now, often our technology is interfering with our sleep and our circadian rhythm, purely because we like to look at technology before we go to bed or in the evenings. Excuse me, which is the worst possible thing we can do. That is waking our bodies and our brains up. It's stimulating them. It's not sending them to sleep. It's doing the opposite. So that's going to affect our sleep quality as well. We're going to struggle to stay awake all the way through. I have a client who said to me the other day that she gets up at least, I think it was 3 or 4 times a night, and she has done for like the last 6 months, and she's going through menopause. And I was like, it's not because of the menopause. It's because you have so much shit going on in your head. You are so stressed that when you get to sleep, your body is waking you up because you're thinking and thinking and thinking about so many things that it needs to start offloading, right? So you become aware of these thoughts, you wake up, and then you're waking up multiple times in the night. She did one thing. She cut off technology and she journaled. Actually, I have 2 clients that did this. Actually, I have loads of clients that did this, but these are the 2 people that I just want to use as this example. So the original person that I was talking about said that she only woke up once. Usually it was 3 times. Who was going through menopause. She woke up once after she journaled instead of 3 times. The other example, which I just remembered, and the reason why I totally forgot is because it was about 1.5 years ago that we worked together. For a decade, she hadn't slept all the way through. She did her downtime, she switched off TV, journaled, read, and went to bed. So for the hour before she went to bed, she had no technology on or around her. So the first time in a decade, she slept through 7 hours, 9 hours, 9 hours, 9 hours. Just changing the one thing, changing the technology, when you use it and how often you use it, has a huge, huge impact. Now, what does sleep have an impact on how does sleep have an impact on our way? We talked about this. We need to get more sleep because we need to regulate our hormones that create our hunger and satiety levels, our desire for snacking, for energy, clarity, mental clarity, brain fog, that's all improved. Sleep is imperative. Like, a good amount of sleep is imperative for weight loss. We all know that. So switching off technology also means not watching TV while you're eating, because watching TV can either be stressful if you're watching the news, which actually does the opposite of digestion. It switches our sympathetic nervous system on, which is our fight or flight response. So your body's not ready. If you're watching the news or something stressful, your body is not ready to digest. It is ready to run the fuck away from there. So how do you switch that on? By switching TV off, being mindful, being present. Technology, time away from technology can reduce your stress, because we're all stressed when we're looking through social media, comparisonitis. We're all looking at other things, news, things that evoke emotion. These are all stress inducing. When we switch off, we can improve our mental health. Technology breaks always help with mental health. And of course, when we switch off technology, we are more likely to participate in physical activity instead. Granted, right before bed, I don't necessarily suggest you go out and run a marathon, However, it does help to switch off. So they are my top hacks to get faster results, but to also keep things simple. Turn off technology, portion out your foods while you can. Again, we're not necessarily taking things away. We're not depriving ourselves. We're still keeping the things. We're just changing a few things up, just changing the timeline of things, right? Changing out alcohol. Again, I'm not telling you to completely cut out wine or beer, but just have a think, be mindful about it. Change to higher protein snacks or add higher protein elements and foods to your snacks. Again, we don't have to take things away, we can add. And okay, there is one thing that I'm telling you to get rid of, and that's oils. If you don't know how to swap out oils, or if you're struggling, in my 28-day meal plan, which by the way, I know a few of you are hounding me for at the moment now, my 28-day meal plan will be released. I keep saying soon, but will be released soon. And I've got an extra added bonus in there on cutting out oils. It's called the Big Oil Debate. That gives you all of the information about oils and all of my tips, like every single one that I could possibly think of to help eliminate and cut out oils and how to replace them, how to cook without them. So that's an entire bonus that you get with the 28-day meal plan. Now, you only get the bonuses if I'm doing a promotion, which I don't know when or if you already have the 28-day meal plan. So I have the old version, which is going to be completely thrown away, and then the new version is going to be released. Now, if you get the old version, right now, you'll get both. If you wait until I release the new one, you won't get the old one, and that's just going to be thrown in the bin. So get in quick, otherwise, so you can have basically 2 28-day meal plans instead of 1. If you have any questions about that, put them in no, this isn't on Facebook, is it? If you have any questions, DM me. Right, okay, that is the 3-part mini training, folks, for you. I hope this has really helped. Don't forget that next week on Wednesday, the Black Friday offer will be released in the live, and you'll only have a few days at the most to grab the offer. I will not run into Cyber Monday, and I'm not doing another offer for a while. It is going to be between 50 and 70% off an entire coaching package, which I don't have as my normal regular packages. Okay, so it's going to be insane. All right, guys, well done. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please DM me. If you're interested in the Black Friday offer and you want to get a head start about in front of everyone else, feel free to DM me and I can work through what I already have with you. Maybe you can get one of the first places before I release the information. Totally up to you. All right, guys, best of luck, and I'll see you soon.